I'm Steve Patterson, joined by Richard Roeper to talk about one of the most controversial figures, I think, in recent Hollywood memory, Mel Gibson.
Right.
And he's got the new movie coming out, The Beaver. And we have heard so much, really feels like over the last many months, about what's going to happen with this movie. Let's first talk just briefly about the movie. I mean, you've seen it and loved it.
Steve, it's maybe the best movie I've seen so far this year, and I had a feeling it must be, because if not, I think the studio just would have buried this film and said, you know what, too much baggage attached to Mel Gibson, let's just forget about this. But the fact that they're showing it to me, and I think some other critics early, the buzz is starting, and it's well-deserved. This is a very smart, interesting, darkly funny, and ultimately really moving film about a man who's going through a breakdown. So, of course, there's a lot of parallels there between Mel Gibson's real-life troubles and what his character's going through.
I feel like that begs the question, why would Mel Gibson, at the point in where he is with his career and his personal life, why do you think he jumped on and said, yes, I'll do this, since it strikes so close to home?
Yeah, that's a great question, Steve. I think there are a couple of reasons here. First of all, his friendship with Jodie Foster, who directs the film and also plays his wife. It goes all the way back to Maverick about 20 years ago, and she's been a loyal friend to him through the thickest and worst times and the best of times. So I think the fact that Jodie was attached to it was a big factor. And also, if you look at Mel Gibson's career, he has long been attracted to characters who are going through some serious crises. Even the original Lethal Weapon. You know, that film, that franchise eventually became kind of a cartoon, but the first Lethal Weapon was a hard R movie, and his character, Martin Riggs, was suicidal in that movie. So he's been attracted to that type of character for a long time.
Now, I mean, you're a columnist, a radio show host, among other things. You have not exactly been easy on Mel Gibson as he's gone through this stuff. So whenever you get the call and you're going to be doing you're going to screen his movie, how do you separate? Can you separate the two?
You know, it's hard at first, and I have. As a columnist, as a radio commentator, I've been as hard on Mel Gibson as anyone for the things he's been caught on tape saying, for the allegations against him, for his behavior over the last several years. It's inexcusable. There's no way to rationalize it or justify it. But as a critic, I think I owe it to the audience and to the filmmakers to judge the movie on its own merits. I'm disgusted by things that Roman Polanski did 40 years ago, but I think The Ghost Rider's a great film. I think he deserved the Oscar when he won the directing Oscar for The Pianist. I think you have to be able to separate the artist from the art. Now, some people say they can't do it. I've heard from fans who have said to me, Rich, I hear you love this movie. I don't care. I'm boycotting Mel Gibson's work. And I say, you know, God bless. You can vote with your wallet. Everyone has the right to make up their mind about this.
How do you think it's going to do at the box office? I mean, do you think, are people going to go out and see this movie?
You know, I'm really torn about this because I think, you know, it's a strange title. It's an odd project. Mel Gibson and Jodie Foster are, you know, on camera, two of the biggest stars we've had for the last 25 years. I think it's a tough sell, but I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up getting a lot of word of mouth and actually builds from week to week.
Do you think, I don't know if this is too abstract, but do you think that there's potential that Mel Gibson sort of is working out therapy, in a sense, on the big screen as he goes through that script? Is he doing that, or does he, do you think, he just treats it as work?
I'm not sure. I mean, again, you know, I try to separate the artist from the art, but there were some times during the movie where certain things were said or certain expressions come across his face, and you wonder, what's he drawing on for this portrayal? Is he just that good of an actor, or is there some sense memory going on here where he's really drawing on his own torment that he's gone through?
Now, you've talked with Jodie Foster. She, I think, has a lot of risk getting involved in a movie like this with Mel Gibson at this point. What's her take on this? Because this has got to be one of the most interesting movies she's ever worked on.
You know, Jodie knows that when she's out there promoting the film, Steve, Mel Gibson can't go out and promote this film. If he does, every question, even if they say to the journalist, you can't ask him about his personal travails, people are going to ask him anyway. So they're wisely, I think Mel is, you know, he's got his things to work on. So Jodie's out there, and she's not somebody who really courts the press. She's a professional. She's a, you know, a very likable person, but she's not somebody you see her out there yucking it up with the press all the time. But she realizes to get the word out about this film, she's got to be out there doing it. And I think she's going to tell people, as she told me, that she's a friend with him. She's been friends with him for 20 years. The Mel that you hear on those tapes, the Mel who's been charged with certain things, is not the person he knows. And she told me again and again, she goes, she's never seen a more popular person on a movie set than Mel Gibson.
Wow. How about, Hollywood's a pretty forgiving community. The question would be, if this performance of his merits award consideration, do they forgive and forget what's happened in the personal life?
You know, you look through the years, and a lot of people who have been through a lot of troubles have won a lot of awards. You know, the question here is, has enough time passed, and has Mel Gibson done the mea culpas? You know, we like to see, as a society, and the Academy likes to see those, you know, those confessionals to Oprah or to Barbara Walters, and I don't know if he has it in him to do that, or if he wants to bother with it. And I don't think, if he doesn't campaign for this, and if he doesn't seem sincere, I think it's an uphill climb for him to get nominated. He deserves to get nominated, though. He really does.
for the audience after they see this movie, do you think they leave with a different view, even though it's separate, it's professional, he's working, do they leave with a different view of him personally? Did you find that you left with sort of a new image of him in his personal life?
You know, I don't know if I could say that I really had different personal feelings about him. You know, I respect his work. I think it might be the best performance of his career, and I have enormous respect for Jodie Foster as an artist and as a human being, and I give her a lot of credit. She could have cast somebody else in this movie. Mel Gibson's not the only actor that could have played this. There are a lot of great actors in that age range. I don't know if any of them would have captured the role like he did, but, you know, she made some tough choices, and I give her credit for sticking with them.
Let me ask you one more closing question about this movie. At what point will the audience overcome the fact that he's got a beaver puppet on his hand the whole time, or are you always, is that okay? Are you not distracted by that?
I thought, like everybody else, you're like, really, this guy's gonna speak through this beaver puppet? And I'm telling you, 5 minutes into the moment where he starts using the puppet as his alter ego, you start looking at the puppet, and I swear it's changing expressions. And I don't think it really is, but you start looking at it, just like everybody else in the movie. You're actually on the same journey as the characters in the movie, where you're relating to this puppet as a separate entity.
Wow, very interesting stuff. All right, guys, you'll have the chance to really vote with your wallet, like Richard said there. The Beaver opens in theaters May 20th.